nominated for an Oscar.
Wait, I can't hear you guys. Give me 1 second.
Can you hear us?
Uh,
Are you, can you hear us now?
okay, I can hear you guys.
Okay, cool. Um, yeah. Um, so yeah, you were saying, Lua, about Coleman Domingo.
Yeah, because like he's obviously a great actor, right? But like to me, if you've seen Shawshank Redemption or any movie that takes place in jail,
Yeah.
you almost kind of know like, you know, you're gonna get the same feeling of I'm in prison, I'm a gangster. Hey, buddy, you don't have to be a gangster. Nah, man, I'm still a gangster, but what's with this play shit though? It's like I was kind of like I already knew it was gonna happen, but after seeing it, I was like, okay, I mean, I guess I could see why he was nominated, but the movie wasn't that good to me, honestly.
Hmm. Makes sense. Um, I know Femi is into anime, but are you into anime, Lua?
I am, but I'm like casual. Like
Yeah.
I'm not, yeah, I'm
I'm
not as in depth of it as Femi or my little brother. You're
what
you're a fan of anime, yeah?
casual as well. Like I want to get into it more, but I haven't had like the but what's the greatest thing you've seen in an anime that you can remember?
So this is a bias. Actually, no. So I'm not gonna say my bias. I'll just say if you are someone that has never seen anime and you want to watch something that can immediately bring you in without too much uh, learning curve, I would say Death Note is good, but my favorite is Naruto.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Naruto, my favorite too.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure you've been in my apartment. You've probably seen all the Naruto stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, Chava, what anime have you seen? I'm curious.
Well, growing up, there's one well, Dragon Ball Z, the soccer one. I don't know what it's called in English, but it's called let me see if I can find the name in English. Captain Tsubasa.
Tsubasa, yeah.
Yeah. So that one. There was another one in Spanish. It was called okay. Oh, no, this one. No, it's not this. Well, it's saying it's called Dragon Quest in English, but oh yeah, it is Dragon Quest. Um, Dragon Quest, and then it's a little bit more childish, but it's I think in English it's called Ninja or yeah, I think Ninja Pizza Cats or something like that, which
Yeah,
is
I'm familiar. I'm familiar. They're like tiny little cats with like they kind
yeah,
of look like
yeah,
ninjas.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
used
very,
to
very
love that.
old school. I'm
Yeah.
familiar. Okay, so like you grew up watching like the Shonen, which I think most people have. But I think like Lewis said, yeah, yeah, okay, Dragon Quest is that's a classic.
Yeah,
The same creator, I think, as Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama. Yeah, yeah. It's a
uh,
good one, bro.
yeah, this one, um, those nin
Yeah.
oh man, I used to I was obsessed with these guys.
Yeah, they're pretty much like the anime version of like Sonic Adventures, you know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. It's like classic, this good kid. Saturday morning cartoon kind
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
Really cool.
I'm completely I feel like I've seen this before, but like I can't recollect.
I kind
Because
of
as soon as
I kind of want to see if they stream it somewhere, maybe in
They
Crunchyroll.
have to. If not Crunchyroll, I know somewhere else.
Yeah.
If not Crunchyroll.
But yeah, these this is where how I grew up um watching. Um but what did you guys grew up watching in terms of anime?
Man, first of all, I think the introduction to anime had to have been the kid stuff. So like Dragon Ball Z, big fan of Dragon Ball Z when it came
But
out.
did you guys start it with the first Dragon Ball? Did you see
No,
the first?
I
When
started
he
with me.
Dragon Ball Z.
Oh man. I we they would show the first when Goku was a little kid. They would show that in Mexico first. So we grew up all of my friends grew up with like Goku as a little kid. And then he became like in middle school he became well Dragon Ball Z and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I remember growing up, they would play Dragon Ball, but it wasn't as popular as Dragon Ball Z. Like Dragon Ball Z was like a phenomenon.
Yeah.
That's the first one. And then like when you break it down a little bit more from like the earlier days, Beyblade, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then
Sailor
like
Moon.
when you move on to that second level, you get to the Naruto, Yu Yu Hakusho, Duel Masters.
Mm. In terms of movies, is there like a really good movie you guys like?
Like from anime?
Yeah, anime.
Akira gotta be on there. That's
Yeah.
definitely on the list. Paprika, that's also a really good one.
I've heard about that.
If you want to gain your feels, I think there's this one. Let me look it up. I think that's what it's called. Can't remember the name of the movie.
Is it like Studio Ghibli?
No, no. Uh, doing my research here. Your name. Oh, if you wanna be sad, you watch Your Name. That one right there. It's like a romance. It's kind of like a romance film. And I don't want to spoil it. It's kind of like one of those things where you have to watch to really get into it. But like towards the end, you'll be like, wow, that was like a beautiful like storytelling.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely that one. What's another good one? Um,
In terms of Studio Ghibli, like what's the top one? Spirited Away.
Spirit Away, Princess Mononoke, My Neighbor Totoro.
Yeah.
There's so many of them. I feel like all of them are good, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
you could really watch any of them and you would enjoy yourself. Because they're kind of like made that way, kind of like Pixar kind
Mm.
of makes movies. It's like you could like Toy Story, but then Monsters Inc. is good. You can like Monsters Inc., but you can also like I don't know what's not a good Pixar movie. Cars. They're all good.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of want to start Studio Ghibli adventure with Aurora, like alongside her, like watch Studio Ghibli when she's like,
Yeah, she would definitely love that.
yeah, to be
Yeah.
like instead of like going straight to Disney, like start there and then
And then like work your way up.
yeah.
What do you think in terms of like father-daughter moment you want her like first rated R movie to be?
R-rated?
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is Deadpool.
Yeah.
It was fun. Um, but other than that, I don't know. Maybe something artsy, but I don't know if she would get it. I mean, I love Paul Thomas Anderson, uh,
Yeah,
but I think those movies are way too heavy for her. For a little kid. I don't know.
yeah,
But yeah, maybe I would start with something artsy like or maybe even like Pulp Fiction.
Pulp
yeah.
Fiction.
I was telling Paul like I want to be the one to show her Kill Bill.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Because Pulp Fiction is like old enough to be like, oh, you know what? Like, have you guys seen Leon the Professional?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one.
I was
Uh,
gonna say, there's one movie that just popped into my head. I don't know if it's a rated R movie, but Juno.
okay.
I feel like that'll be a good one.
no, it's rated R for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good one.
It's a good one,
It's kind of like giving the talk,
yeah.
like indirectly.
Yeah.
Like
No,
this.
but see, it's funny because like I remember like back when I was in Dallas, we were at one of our cousins' house. I don't know if you've heard of Amara or Auntie
Yeah, yeah.
Adobe.
They were here yesterday.
Yeah, so like we were watching, we were deciding what to watch, and I was just like, oh, like I'm gonna put on Lady Bird. Like this is
Yeah.
gonna be special because this is like Amara's first rated R movie.
Yeah.
It's like I was like, I feel so privileged and honored that she gets this adult moment with like such a nicer film. It's not like immediate like grotesqueness. It's just like a few F bombs and like sexual themes. But it's like I think that entry level of like, okay, this is what adult themes are like, and then like the moment it drops when you go to a friend's house and it just shows like hardcore murder scenery, like my whole mind is shifted.
Yeah.
Like at least she gets this moment with some family, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Man.
yeah, I remember growing up, there was cable on the TV, and then very late at night they would show R-rated movies. And I was definitely way too young to watch some of the things I watched back then. I remember watching I think it's called American Story X with
American History X.
History X, yeah. History X, yeah. I watched that when I was like, I don't know, what year was it? I was way too young for that. I remember it's
Hey,
like the next day I was just staring blankly. It's just like thinking about the movie, like, holy shit, do people do that? Like some of those movies where like you just like your whole life just like gets rocked.
No,
mhm.
100%.
What kind of movies like that did you watch way too early?
See, it was funny. I remember there was this one distinct moment. It was like when I was younger. I remember Femi was watching. Oh, what? God, I'm like blanking on the name now. Paul Thomas Anderson, Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
Mm,
He was
mm.
watching Boogie Nights, and I came in at the last scene.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember the last scene of Boogie Nights, but Mark Wahlberg just pulls out this huge, big, fake prosthetic peanuts and shakes it around. And I was just like, this is what adults like, okay? Because I was just not saying anything. I just came in at that moment. I was like, yep, all right.
Man, that was such a jarring scene, especially for like a Mark Wahlberg, since he's like a Catholic Irish guy. For him to do that.
It's like it's like it was like no context. I didn't know what the movie was about. I just came in at that scene, and I was like, all right, like this is art.
Wow, Boogie Nights. I think along that lines of just like it gets pornographic. I think one of the movies that kind of like was like the whoa for me was like Zack and Miri make a porno.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's just the idea of like pornography was just so I had no idea what it was. And then I saw that movie and I'm like, oh, that's what that is. Oh.
I love
Yeah.
that.
What other movie? Um, uh, but yeah, I just remember like it was more about like very violent stuff. Like
Yeah.
shit, like, do people get killed like that? Like, shit,
Ooh,
like shook me.
300.
Oh, 300. Well, I was older, yeah. How old were you guys when 300?
Fourth, fifth grade, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
yeah.
just remember that really tall guy being like, "You don't like this. You don't like this."
Yeah. I getting kicked into the hole.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And then that like weird ogre, he was just like, the money, the women, I want it all.
and that guy betrays them, no? Like they,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And just even seeing like Leonidas like fight
yeah,
with his men, with that Persian guy who was kind of like effeminate, kind of like Mr. Him,
yeah.
like a Leonidas, Leonidas.
How he
That was
dies
definitely,
is very epic.
yeah,
The
yeah.
scene where he dies with all the arrows.
It was violent, it was tragic, it was kind of sexual. It was just all these things as a kid. I was just like, wow. Like it was like one of those things where like my brain was just trying to process all the things I saw, you know what I mean?
Because like everything was on like cocaine. Like the sex scenes were like really like
Yeah,
erotic, and the fight scenes were like really, yeah,
really, really violent.
yeah, 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 yeah. That was a really good one.
See, I remember like to me, the first violent movie that I remember seeing that I actually really wanted to see was Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
good one.
And see, like to me, like I remember I watched that movie not too long ago, and to me, like that gunshot scene with like Kigro is still like unmatched, like top like action scenes that I've seen, in like the past 5 years. Because like even as a kid, I was just like, yo, like the amount of not only uh foul language that they use, but the fact that it was like Nicolas Cage and their superheroes, I was like, yeah, I really want to see this. And I was like, what, 6 or 7 years old? And I think at that point, the most violent thing that I have seen was a Quentin Tarantino movie, right? Because again, like just sporadically, like you'll just like pop up and you'll just see like that last scene from Kill Bill at like on Sci-Fi, and you're just like, what the fuck is this? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember what was the first scary movie y'all saw?
Um, when I was little, I was really scared of aliens, and watching the original Alien movie, I couldn't finish it. I was like, this is I couldn't sleep that. And then what Sixth Sense, which is also like, but Sixth Sense, have you watched that one? Sixth
Yeah,
Sense? It's really interesting because up to that point, all of the Alien movies were like big picture, like the aliens invade the whole city, right? And it's like Sixth Sense, it was the first where it's like the little house. They invade, like they come to the house, the little house, and it's like, holy shit. Like they don't go to cities anymore. They just come to your house. What the fuck? That really spooked me out. And it's a really good movie. Um, I haven't watched it since, but yeah, that was really crazy one. Um,
Man, I just remember being young and seeing The Grudge for the first time.
oh yeah.
I was about to say
Ooh.
that.
I was so afraid of the dark. And like I was not even a kid that was afraid of the dark, but then after I saw that movie made me scared of the dark. I was
That
like, I had to like dust out the old, remember that blue boat nightlight that we used to have, Louis,
Yeah,
growing up?
yeah.
I remember seeing that movie and dusting that out and plugging it because of just how jarring I thought all those scenes were. I was like, oh my God, this is insane.
were you guys into those paranormal activity movies?
I was never the biggest fan of them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and it wasn't because I didn't necessarily not like them. It was just the pacing of it, right? Like, to me, like that's the main problem that I find with a lot of scary movies is like this traditional pacing that you can follow that in the theater is nice, but when you're at home, it's not a good feeling because you're like, well, I know what to expect. Like I know a jump is gonna come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I remember like this was back like when I was like a super, super young kid. When we had like maids staying in our house from Mexico, right? I remember one of the maids was watching The Shining in Spanish. And I was like when I watched it, I was like this is like not a traditional scary movie. Obviously, I knew that as a kid because like the pacing of it wasn't like jump out. It was just like, oh my God, like what's gonna happen? And like she was
Suspenseful.
next to me and she was just like, are you scared? Are you scared? I'm like, no, like stop touching me. I'm watching the movie. Like, because again, it's just it's always the thing you don't know is gonna happen that always makes you more intrigued. So like even when I first saw like Friday the 13th, I wasn't really that freaked out. Or when I first saw Halloween, I wasn't freaked out because I was like, I'm expecting something to jump out. Like you've kind of given that away, you
Yeah.
know? Like
Yeah.
unless it's super like, visually appalling, like a Saw, like or Cabin in the Woods, where you're actually wincing at the screen. Other than that, it's just like it didn't really get me. I remember when we first did watch The Grudge, and I remember Femi was completely terrified. I was like,
Mortified.
in my head, I was like, what's going on? It's like I saw the dude jump off the building, and then like Femi was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Mortified.
What is going on? I don't know. Like it's weird. Like even like seeing one in the theater, it's like it's nice because like you're gonna get that collective like with everyone, but it's just a feeling you're gonna expect unless they do it really nice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there's kind of been a new kind of resurgence in like horror and scary films like that. Because I remember for a certain period, there was kind of like those like thrillers that were a little bit cheesy. Like, they were kind of like in the sense of the plot was very simplistic. The characters are very simplistic, one-dimensional. The like Lewis says, the flow of the story is just kind of predictable. And it's like you almost kind of predict and you almost kind of know like how it's gonna end just because of the pacing. It's always just like it's leading up to the guy being caught and then getting killed or getting disappeared. But I feel like now there's been such a huge resurgence of just like horror films. Like for example, the last horror film I saw was Smile 2.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That one generally like freaked the shit out of me watching it in theaters. Just seeing that like monster that like opens its mouth and like swallows that pop singer whole and she's like driving on the road and then like the people are just like, you know, terrifying, terrifying. And that kind of made me think like, man, I think there is a resurgence of just like the genre because there's been a lot of good ones that have come out recently.
Yeah.
Like the one about the hand. If y'all seen that one,
The you have
talk
to
to
take
me.
it.
Yeah, talk to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I
We saw
don't
Yeah,
think I've heard about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw that one. It's not like spooky scary, but I really love everything that Robert Eggers is doing. That
yeah.
Nosferatu was amazing. Like the whole aesthetic. It's not really like it's not trying to spook you, but it's just like the aesthetics of the whole dark themes, and it's just amazing what he does.
Yeah.
Um,
Honestly, it's like to me, it's just something about like getting certain feelings when you watch something that you know is a harder thing to do with not only horror but with comedy too, right? Because like I think there's a certain level of how grotesque can you be to where it isn't, just like throwing up in the theater, or how like dirty slapstick can you be before we're like way past Three Stooges? There's like this certain like nice blend you kind of have to have with like every single genre whenever you're making those things, but still keeping the, you know, um, North Star of what the genre is supposed to be, trying to show you. Because that's the thing with horror to me, when it comes to like, even like the way you write it, like there are so many different elements where you understand that none of these characters are going to leave the same. Most of them are probably going to be dead, right? And you kind of know that going into it. Your mind is just like, how are they going to take you along this ride of killing these people, right? So whenever you position it of like, okay, it's not a death thing, it is a culty, scary thing. Like again, like what's his name? He did Midsommar. He did
Uh,
Harry.
yeah.
Ooh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's again like the way you pay something like that out. Is like okay, like like death isn't gonna be our main.
Ari Aster.
Ari Aster.
Yeah.
It's like because even like I watched this movie like Beau is Afraid. I don't know if you guys ever seen that.
I haven't. Um,
Mm,
Yeah,
is it
so
good?
mm.
I liked it. It's like it's again, it's like that thing of how much are you trying to show versus tell when it comes to having the audience care about someone, and like very specific genre things. It's really hard for someone to actually care about like certain characters because like even in a comedy sense, right? Like, you know, if someone were to ever be positioned as like the new Will Ferrell, everyone would just be like, no, we already have a Will Ferrell. He doesn't even need to make movies anymore. His movies are sacrosanct. They're in a pyramid of greatest comedies ever. Same thing with Jim Carrey. And so it's like,
Yeah, it's like the Beatles. They just recorded and then they stopped forever, and then it's like that's it. Like it's frozen in time. It's like Jim Carrey, like the all the best Jim Carrey ones, like Ace Ventura and Dumb and Dumber. It's just that's it. Like that's the go. Like that's the peak. You know?
100%.
Yeah, it's like once in a lifetime. You only had to be there to experience that type of scenery right there, like with the Jim Carrey, Will Ferrell film, or even the stand up or anything like that. It's just, or even like with the Beatles, it's like things like that can't be replicated again. And it's like not even the sense of like even it being replicated, but just even that feeling from someone else. Like I don't even know if I can find that in Hollywood now, you know?
I
Because
mean,
I
it's
feel,
it's the Vince McMahon meme, right? Where he's like,
yeah.
like, like how good were those Jim Carrey movies, Dad? It was like, eh. Uh, yeah.
Who are you guys' favorite comedians? Like what comedians are you guys really interested?
Um, right now, since
Like
Bill
like
Bill Burr
new.
is doing his like to like promoting his we haven't seen the special, but he's promoting the his special. He's been on random shows. I mean, he's just genius. He can just turn on. I mean, he's him. Like he's just like that all the time. He just goes into these insane like things. He starts saying about random things, right? He also
Yeah.
got in trouble, no? He was like t saying things about Elon or some shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, the right wing, because he used to be very big with the right wing crowd, and
Yeah.
then he dissed like Musk, and then everyone's just like, "What is he, a liberal now? Get this liberal out here. We knew it. He has a black wife. We knew it."
Yeah. Have you
Yeah.
guys watched George Carlin, one of the OGs? Like,
of course.
Oh, he one of my favorites, like all time for sure.
yeah.
Super deep, introspective kind of guy. I really loved his work when he was alive.
He's the first SNL monologue, you know? He was the first
Was
the
he really?
SNL episode, he was the monologue.
Damn. Okay, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. He was like he goes way, way back.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the goats, and he's like one of those guys where it's like his his comedy is relevant even now, decades,
Yeah.
because it's so well thought out and it's so uh such a perfect way to encompass the human experience
Yeah.
and put it into a comedy, but make it so in a sense where it's like it withstands the test of time to where it's like this is the human experience. And no matter when you see it, watch it, hear it, like you'll feel what he's saying, you know? And he's one of the few comedians that can do that, like a Dave Chappelle. I feel like Dave Chappelle's one of those comedians that can do that too. But like, oh, you're gonna say something?
No, I was gonna ask, do you guys fuck with Richard Pryor? Like,
Of course, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Richard Pryor, the GOAT.
See, you know who's really hilarious? I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. He only has his stand-up specials on YouTube. It's this guy named Ali Sadiq.
Ali
Mm,
Sadiq.
I haven't.
Oh, he's the guy that went to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like the best hours of stand-up next to Dave Chappelle that I've like probably seen. Like because like you should start watching his shows, but the way he starts his specials, like every year he basically dropped this special talking about like his life before jail, like as a kid, like with his dad as a crack dealer and his mom doing whatever, him selling drugs, him in prison, and then the last one is like right after he got out, like him starting comedy. And it was like again, like the way it's all paced, it's like a story, but it doesn't feel like you're being preached at because of like the certain things that happen in between the story. He easily transitions out of it because it's actually stuff that happens in his life. So like the way he builds the special around those elements is honestly like the best stuff I've seen in a while. You guys should definitely check it out.
This guy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that guy's funny. I had to check that stuff out because I think the last time I saw him was remember when you remember when we were Lua, when we were at home and we were watching what was that thing from Comedy Central where they used to it was like those things where they tell stories.
This isn't happening.
Yeah, this isn't happening. And I remember he had a shroom story. And I remember our dad like walked downstairs. And it was so funny. I remember our dad walked downstairs and he was talking about how the first time he took shrooms and tripped. And I remember our dad was just like, you guys, that's why you shouldn't be doing psychedelics and this and that. And then me and my brother look at each other like,
Like I'm on one right now.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. Did you guys watch the Louis C.K. show? His show?
On
Uh,
Yeah.
Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah.
that one's really good.
So funny.
Yeah.
It's paced exactly like how his comedy is. Just like very just like angry and very angry in your face.
And also like very like like
Yeah.
nonsense. Like why is this happening? Like um and of course Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. That's a great show.
Man. Especially the early my favorite season is the one with the fatwa thing, which is it's so genius because he's Jewish, and the fatwa is when the Iranian leader mandates the people to kill someone because he went against the religion, right? So this
Mhm.
the author that is the real life thing, and this author was he got assigned a fatwa, so anyone can kill him. Like if you just see him on the street, you can kill him and you won't go to jail. Like that's how it works. Um, and Larry David like had the author on the show and like
Mhm.
talked like just joked about the thing. It's insane because it's a real thing and it's the real guy and it's like it's still going on, and they're just joking about it, and I've never seen anything like that. It's so insane. I think it's the seventh or eighth season, but the whole season is about that. It's insane. It's really
Yeah.
good.
That show has so many good moments. It's like you can recall like a fantastic just scene from every season and just like laugh your ass off. Like one of my favorite scenes from like just I don't know what season it was, but it was when uh Larry gets high for the first time and he like hangs out with that like prostitute and they go to the game and he's like looking in the mirror and he's just like talking to himself like he's like, cut out the red meat. Your doctor told you cut out the red meat. You say you was gonna cut out the red meat.
Oh man. And Jerry Smooth is
And
so
he's like, TV, TV. All you do is watch TV, read a book. And he's like, I'm really gonna do it. But like it's just the idea of him like having that monologue, and you don't know if it's inner monologue or if it's just him actually talking to himself in the mirror. But it's like that's the feeling that you get when you like really get high for the first time, is that anxiety. And the way he just depicts it is so perfect. So perfect.
Oh man. Well, I guess that's the show, guys. Less than a minute.
Mm.
All right, boys. It was a good one.
Always a pleasure.
All right. Talk to you
Yeah.
next week.
Bad word.
Oh.
Cheers.